Alright, in this video I'm going to be changing the two fuel filters for my diesel fuel engine. It's a Yanmar 3-cylinder engine, 35 horsepower, and I have a stainless steel tank in the aft compartment behind the master stateroom, and I have to remove a panel to get back to this area right here and just move this. It's hard to see me do it, but I just need to turn this 1/4 of a turn to the off position, and I'm good to get started. Now, I suspect that there could be a less convenient place for this fuel filter to be. I'm not sure how they would have gotten it there though. I have to fold the mattress back in the main stateroom and then take off this panel here, this hatch, and then the filter is right down there, and I'm going to have to bring a light in to see it. So back with my handy dandy light, and now you can see the filter I'm using. And the thing that needs to be changed is the top half of that 2-part filter. You can see here that there's diesel fuel in there, and there may even be junk in there. It's hard for me to tell from here, but I've already turned off the cutoff for the fuel. Now I need to get some kind of container to catch any stray fuel that drips down, because I don't want, there's just not enough pads on my boat, absorbent pads on my boat to catch the fuel that'll come down. And it's probably best if I wore gloves. Unfortunately, I don't have any, so I won't be doing that in this video. Before you start removing filters, you really ought to make sure that you have the right replacement parts. This is the filter for the primary filter for my diesel fuel, and this is the spin-on fuel filter for my engine that goes on the side of the engine. Right over here, difficult to see in the engine compartment, but that's it right there. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this filter before I get in there. It's the instructions on the side of the filter say that you need to oil the gasket. So I'm going to do that out here where it's a little bit more convenient. Here's the gasket. There's an O-ring here that goes someplace else, but this gasket fits right there, and it needs a little bit of oil on it. So I'm just going to use just the tiniest bit of fresh oil that I got from my oil change video, and I'm going to put this right down in here where it goes. Okay, so for my container to catch the extra oil, the extra diesel fuel that's going to come out of the filter when I put it on or take it off, I'm going to just cut me an opening here to catch it and use this old oil can. Okay, so I have my oil catcher and my extra absorbent pads in place, and the first thing I'm going to do is see if I can drain this a little bit. And there's some goop in here, lots of goop. As a matter of fact, that stuff just came in from there. So now I'm going to attempt to get this entire whole old filter off of here. And it should just, well, here comes the bulb anyway. I may have to use my oil filter wrench to actually get this off. Yeah, this has got some gunk in it, so that's actually probably overdue for changing this filter off. Now I'm going to try again with this, but I can't get it, so I'm going to get my oil filter wrench and try and get it off that way. Okay, so I'm back with the oil filter wrench, and it's got to go the opposite direction. It's got to go this way. There we go. And there you can see the old O-ring coming off. And this is why you want to make sure that you've got something to catch the fuel in, because fuel is going to come leaking out. And also why it would be good to have maybe a bigger container. Like I said, this is why you turn the cutoff to the fuel off, because otherwise you'd be draining your tank right now. Here I have the bowl from the filter, and you can see all of that stuff, that brown, reddish brown stuff is sediment from the tank, I guess, that's stayed in the bowl and hasn't gone through the filter. Here is some of the diesel fuel that drained out of the filter. There's the old O-ring in there, and all of that other stuff is sediment there. I'm going to dump this over here. We can take a look at the inside of that filter, and it's just, well, you just can't see it because it's black. If we look at the new filter, you can see that it's white there, the paper filter. So this is, I actually let this go a little bit long. I usually do this once a year, and I'm at about 18 months right now. So I don't want to put this off anymore, because I could be have a complete engine shutdown and due to lack of fuel, because everything is all plugged up, and that would be a bad thing. So now I've cleaned out the bowl. You remember how yucky it was before, and this is where the O-ring goes, right here in the little groove that goes right there. And then I'm going to screw the new filter onto the bottom of the bowl. So I put the filter back on, and now I'm going to turn the opening, the cutoff valve at the fuel tank back on, and I'm going to let this fill up again with fuel. Now I'm going to, just like I did before, I'm going to open this little valve here and see if I can get some fuel to come into the Now I'm going to bleed air out by opening up this nut here to let some fuel run down into the filter. Once the bowl fills up, you still have to wait a little bit more before you tighten up that bleeding nut right up here. Wait until just a little bit of fuel comes out there, because that'll make sure your fuel filter is full and you don't have any air in there that'll go into your engine, which could make it quit running. Make sure you have something to catch the fuel as it spills out, and make sure you dispose of all your things properly.
I didn't show it here, but this spin-on fuel filter goes on about the same way as the spin-on oil filter. When you put it back on, make sure you oil the gasket a little bit, just like you did with the oil filter. In my case, I had to manually pump more fuel into this spin-on fuel filter before the engine would actually run right. Pumping that in took just about 3 minutes or so, so it wasn't a big deal. When you crank up the engine, be sure you check for leaks.
You're all done. Crank up your motor, make sure it runs. Make sure it runs for about 15 minutes without stalling so that you can be sure that you don't have any air in the lines. If you have to bleed some air out, make sure that you know how to do that according to your engine manufacturer's recommendations.
I hope you found this video helpful and that you'll give me a like and subscribe to Jim Sales.